Let's get into these panelists because they are quite amazing. I'm going to do a little two-liner, and then they're going to introduce themselves a little more formally. So let's start off with Gabriela Rodiles.
Beautiful.
Sorry, y'all, I had to say it in Spanish because I'm Dominican. She is a social media manager for Food Network, a content creator for Gourmet Gab, and she's been doing this, her food blog, since 2010. So she is the ultimate foodie, and trust me, if you go to her page, you will start getting hungry.
Thank you.
Now, Myra Mosley, she is a social media manager for Vice TV. She's Emmy nominated, a digital producer, and she has experience working at ABC News, People Magazine, and Essence Magazine. And then we have Sarah Funk. She is an on-camera host and travel influencer, a YouTuber and entrepreneur. So again, we all have that edge to travel. If you're like me, definitely check out her content. And we have the amazing Alyssa Francois, who is actually my former coworker. She works at Unilever on the Dove account, leading a lot of the beauty and well-being content, but she's also a lifestyle influencer and a health coach. So again, self-care, everyone needs it. Make sure y'all tap in. So I would like, ladies, if we could just start from the beginning. Tell us kind of like, since from college on, since we have a lot of students here, we have people who are early in their career. Tell us a little bit about how you started in your career, what you studied, and then also how you got to content creation. Where did it all begin? And Gabby, we'll start with you.
Yeah, definitely. So let's see. For me, it actually all goes back to when I was super little. I have been obsessed with Food Network since I was like 5 years old. And so that was always the dream job. So in college, when I was studying at Arizona State, I was always doing all those classes, but doing my little food blog on the side, which led me to my internship at Food Network. And after college, I worked actually for a nonprofit for my sorority for a few years, just trying to get back to Food Network. And once I got the job, I have been here for about 5 years.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And what about you, Myra?
Hi, everyone. So, yeah, my content creation journey essentially started in journalism school. I have a bachelor's degree from North Carolina A&T State University. I intentionally went to an HBCU. I wanted to learn more about my culture. And then I went to grad school at the CUNY J School. I heard someone in here say that they went there. Shout out to you. So yeah, I have a master's degree in journalism, particularly in arts and culture. And like she mentioned, I have a background in breaking news, so ABC News. Anyone that's from New York, Channel 11, I worked in local news for a little bit, and now I'm at Vice. Super excited to be here.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I guess you would say it started at Disney. I got a job out of college working at Disney doing a North American marketing strategy for The Lion King, if you've seen it on Broadway. Wow. And I did love the job, but I really wanted to create content of my own. So I essentially took the leap of faith in 2017, quit my job with $300 in my bank account, which was risky. And I traveled the world for a year making content and eventually built it into a business. We're a production company. I am a YouTuber. And I also own a tourism company here in New York, all because of that. So it's been an exciting journey.
Yes, amazing. Alyssa.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alyssa. So my journey started when I was little. I've always loved to hoard magazines. And I never knew what content creation could be like in the future, but I just kept at it. I went to LIM College for my BBA in fashion merchandising, and then I went back for my master's in fashion marketing. My first job out of college was at Vogue magazine as a freelancer. So I just stayed there to learn the ins and outs of fashion and fashion editorial. Then I moved on to beauty, and now I'm at Unilever, but I also do my own content creation on the side.
Wow. So y'all heard it here first. Could we get a round of applause for them? Because they're pretty established. I love this. I would love to hear more about everyone's journey, kind of what your current projects are looking like. What does your day-to-day look like? And I guess we can start with Alyssa. I would love for you to talk a little bit about your day-to-day as a content creator, as well as somebody who is working in corporate America, and how you balance everything. Tell us a little bit more about some of your current projects, the role you play in them, and what your day-to-day looks like.
So I'm wearing many, many hats right now. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that it's easy. I prayed for where I am right now, but if any of you want to be content creators out here, please pray for resources and please pray for the energy because you're going to need it. So I am an early morning person, so I wake up 5 o'clock every morning, and I use my morning routine to get any content creation I need to do during that time, because after 5, 6 p.m., I really cannot stay up. And as Vanessa said, I do have a 9 to 5, so from 9 to 5, I am focusing on my day job. I do also maximize my weekends as much as possible. So I'm not that person that's like hanging out with friends. I do like to do that, but because I have a vision where I want to go, I make sure that I maximize the hours after work as much as possible on the weekend. So that's how I manage it.
Awesome. And then I guess if we could go to Mariah really quick, because we had a conversation before the panel. We talked about how we're both kind of marketers. We do social for a lot of brands, and we're also in this kind of micro influencer space where we're trying to grow our own following. So I would love for you to touch on that a little bit, and what your projects look like, what your day-to-day looks like as well.
Yeah, I mean, like Vanessa said, so my day-to-day is I work for a Vice Media Group, and I essentially handle all the social strategy for some of the documentaries that you see, right? So Dark Side of the Ring, Most Expensive with 2 Chainz, all of that jazz. But it's completely different whenever you're managing content for a brand versus managing content for yourself. Like, I grew our Vice TV TikTok to 120K in 60 days. It was awesome. And then I get on mine and I'm like, I don't have the energy for it. So it's definitely, it takes time, it takes commitment. I watch a lot of TV, particularly reality TV. Anyone who wants to talk about Love is Blind, definitely, let's talk about it. But like, people have been telling me for years, like, you should do online reviews, you should get online. And like, it completely blew up. Like, I got my first 1 million, shout out to it. It's different whenever you get 1 million views on your own versus for a brand.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely takes like the energy, the dedication, and like, I know like I get really emotionally invested. So when something does not work out and it's my brand, like I cried on my boyfriend's shoulder, I'm like, I'm not an influencer, like what is going on? So it just is completely different whenever it's you versus a brand. So, I mean, to anyone that is just like scared or nervous, like I've just started taking it seriously the last year, and I don't have a niche. Like, I have a dog, I like to thrift, and you're gonna get it all. So I think just like trying to manage that journey on top of like managing for a brand. And also sometimes you just have to close the app. Like, you can always post content. Like, I will be up at 10 like, oh, I just want to get this video, and I'm like, no, let me shift to my brand, let me shift to my content. So yeah, it's just a matter of just like putting that commitment and putting the time in and being like, I deserve the time and I deserve what I'm giving this company.
Right.
So yeah.
I love that, and I really resonate with that as a marketer as well, who also creates content when I'm not lazy. But I aim to have like the discipline that Alyssa is this way, that especially Sarah and Gabriella. So I want to ask y'all, because especially, let's start off with Gabriella and then I'll go to Sarah. You're a food creator and you also create content for Food Network. So I'm sure like your worlds collide a lot on a day-to-day. I would love if you could talk us through what that's like for you, what your projects look like for personal versus, Food Network, and how do you manage all of that?
Definitely. It's a great question and something that I'm asking myself all the time, because I do feel like you have to develop the different voices for the different brands. So it took me a while to really, once I got the job at Food Network, understand the brand voice and become really confident in that. And obviously I'm confident in my own voice, but I also needed to figure out what was my like Gourmet Gab brand voice. And so it's now easier after 5 years to be able to kind of flip that switch and put the hat on for either. But I think the way that I'm able to stay inspired to create my own content on the side is to kind of give myself a goal and a timeline or a project to kind of take on. So on TikTok, you'll probably see all of those like 30-day challenges or like 10 days of thrifting the ultimate finds or whatever it is. So I gave myself the challenge to film 12 days of eggs in January because I love eggs. And I know it's so random. I made so many egg videos for Food Network. So I was like, let's try to put this into the Gourmet Gab voice and give myself some constraints. And so having that time frame of like, I had to do 1 video a day for 12 days helped me so much. And now I'm doing it again, hot tip, coming in May. So I think being able to find those voices and then give yourself some parameters just as you would at work has been super helpful for me.
I love that. Now, Sarah, I want to ask you, because you were able to completely transition. Now you're an entrepreneur, you have your own travel everything. You have multiple streams, I'm sure. So I would love for you to talk us through what that journey has been like for you for doing it now full time, and then what your day-to-day looks like.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna try to do that here. It's a lot. So essentially, when I started doing this, when anyone starts doing this, you have to do everything. And I'm not like don't underestimate that. Everything. You are the accountant, you are the cameraman, you are the on-camera host, you are the social media manager, you're doing everything. And then as you grow your channel, your social media through specific strategies, then you can start hiring people. So I'm in a situation now where I have a team, luckily, and that's how we're able to produce the quantity of content, because we're not only producing content for clients, but we're also producing one full-length YouTube video a week, about 3 to 4 short-form pieces of content a week for Instagram, for TikTok, for YouTube Shorts. And so I have a full-time videographer, 2 editors, and that's how we're able to do it now. Now, how do you make that happen, right? That's the question. It's a lot of strategy. And my personal strategy was reverse engineering the process. So it's like, yes, I have a general niche of what I love. I love travel, but like, where is there holes in the social content world that I can fill that will drive people to my channel? And that's how I was able to transition full time to doing this, in addition to taking the risk of quitting my job. And yes, you're going to be broke for 18 months, so just be ready for that. But that's how you do it. So the way I reverse engineered it was essentially I used something called TubeBuddy. It's a YouTube search engine that will tell you how many people are searching for one thing, and you can make content about what people aren't searching for. So anyway, that's how I did it. But my day-to-day involves talking to like multiple assets of the business, whether that's running the tour company, to creating content, to working with clients. Like today, we essentially filmed a bunch of short form content in a row, and batch filming really helps that process. Because it's just easier to get it over with.
Bump it out, yeah.
And then you don't have to put your makeup on multiple times. Honestly, that to me, like, that is just a win.
Yes, a win is a win.
Yeah, and I knew I was going to do this tonight, so I'm like, today we're filming, because then my makeup's on. Yes.
I love that. Okay, amazing. I loved hearing kind of like the mix in journeys and how you got there, how you're doing it. I want to hear more about the actual process of creating content for y'all. So I know you touched on it a little bit, how you have to have those early mornings, sometimes sacrifice your weekends. I would love if we could talk through that. And let's start off with Mariah, because I want you to give that perspective from the Vice perspective and also from your own. What's your process look like for actually creating content?
I mean, for myself, I have to feel it. Like, I definitely have to dedicate the time and the energy. But if I'm not inspired, it's not going to happen. So, I mean, I think just like getting in my groove. And then I think a biggie too is like learning how you can repurpose content. Like when I think of thrifting, I'm thinking of like a day in the life. I'm thinking of the best shoes I saw. I recently even started doing things that I didn't buy at the thrift store, and people were surprisingly really interested in like, you should have bought that or blah, blah, blah. So just thinking about like ways that you can repurpose content. That way I don't have to go thrifting every day, every week. But when I go, I'm able to get a ton of content. And then my process for Vice, I mean, I'm so grateful. So I work, like, I don't know if you guys have seen this on social media where people are like, a social media manager, like, literally needs a marketing team. We need a marketing team, and I'm so grateful. I have the best boss in the world. I work under a marketing team. I have a production team. They cut the video. I have a graphics team. They do all the graphics that I want. Literally, I get to decide what scene lifts I want, the actual strategy. That is a blessing. Because when I was at ABC, it was completely different. I was doing the editing, I was in Canva, like I was churning out content. And even we were talking earlier, like it's night and day whenever you're doing content for news. Like when I was doing news, I posted it and I left, that was it. But at Vice, like literally they're like, we have a show with 2 Chainz, Most Expensive, and they're like, 2 Chainz responded. I'm like, okay, like, what do you want me to do? Like, I literally used to send my boss, like, should I send him this emoji? Like, I didn't know how to interact. So, like, it's great to work for certain brands, but you do have to understand, like, I know she was talking about voice. You have to understand the voice of the brand that you're working for. So it took me a while, but once I understood the brand, then I was able to, like, come up with different ideas. And then, like I said, it's my role as far as Vice is coming up with strategy for shows, which is great. And I have a marketing team that can help me with it. So that's sort of how I do it from a personal standpoint and then from a professional standpoint.
I love that. Totally relatable. And it's so interesting how different industries, kind of their content requirements and the effort and process is different. I would love to hear from Gabriella as well, especially, again, because you do mostly food content. And I know you're featured in some of it, but tell us a little bit more about your process for creating content as a food creator.
Definitely personally or for?
Both.
I would say personally, lately my strategy has been, I try to ask myself, what do I want to learn about? Because I think making videos and making content requires you to learn so much and then decipher that and then figure out the most important nuggets to tell in that 90-second video. So for me, I get most inspired and most excited to jump into making a video when I'm interested in whatever the topic is. And that's kind of my process. I just decide what is the most interesting, what I want to cook or what I want to learn about, and dive in. And that's why I've been making so many eggs. But for Food Network, it's such a different, different world, much bigger with the shows and much bigger teams, a lot of brainstorming, trying to figure out what, we're going to do for different show promotions or editorial recipes. So a lot goes into that one. But I think either way, it's just what's going to be shareable and what's going to be entertaining and engaging for the audience, and then kind of working backwards.
Sure. Love that. And Sarah, I want to hear about you because you talked about having a team and how luckily now you're at a place where you can delegate some of this, which I'm sure makes your life so much easier. But, besides being a one-woman show, as you were before, can you tell us a little bit about your strategic process? Like, how do you even talk to your team about what you're going to do? And you talked a little bit about, like, those holes and gaps within travel influencing and how you want to bridge that gap. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So as far as coming up with the content concept, we look at a few different things. We look at what's trending, but you can't fully rely on trending, because if you're just chasing trends, then you're never going to be a trendsetter and you're never going to really make an impact. So it's about, like, acknowledging the trends, seeing how you can adopt those trends to your niche, and then also seeing, what I talked about before, which is what people are searching for and what is not currently out there in the market. In addition to that, we also look at the content we've already posted and just look at the data. Try to pull emotion out of it for this stuff. It's really difficult because, you put so much energy into creating this piece of content. You're like, oh my God, I love it. I hope it does well. And then it bombs, right? Or it's something where you're like, oh, whatever, and it does amazing. So it's like, let's look at the data. Why did this get a lot of views? Why are these types of content getting a lot of views? And then how can we recreate that over and over again and just keep, improving? So that's kind of what we work on, my team and I, is we look at the data and make educated decisions on data, but also acknowledge trends and what people are searching for today. And once we have that information, then that's when we choose the topics of the content, whether that be a full-length YouTube video, whether it be a scripting. The one thing I've seen on social media a lot that I fully believe is accurate is you have to have a hook in the first 2 seconds these days. People's attention span is so short that, it's just crazy. It's crazy. Sometimes it can be frustrating. We also have to be really open to how things are changing. You can't get too set on something. Social media changes every week these days. Right. So it's a full-time job. It's very exhausting, but it's very fulfilling when you're able to do what you love and just make money doing your passion. I think it's worth the risk for sure of going full in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you've been able to do it so great.
Yeah, since 2017. Although, to be honest with you, 2017 to 2018 was rough. I was couch surfing. Like, I didn't have any money, really.
Yeah.
But I was just very, like, dedicated to this vision, and I was like, how can I make this happen? And it's just building blocks. It's also, I will be honest, it's also who you know. If you, even using, like, the smallest connections, one of the strategies I used was I went on my LinkedIn and I saw who I was friends with that knew someone at a place that I wanted to work with, and I would be like, hey, whatever, like, I saw you are connected with this person.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I mean, thanks for your honesty. Actually, that kind of leads me into a question.
Oh, great.
Let's talk about let's get real. Can we be real here? Can we be authentic today? Let's talk about the not so glamorous parts about being a content creator and what's kind of rough. If you want to start off, because I know you touched on that a little bit.
That could be the whole panel. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's just say this. For the last 20 days, I've worked 19 of them. Let's start there. Yeah, it's very exhausting. It's a lot of work, and in the beginning, you're going to be doing mostly work for free, unfortunately. But then once you get your social media presence going, you will be making more money than a doctor. It's like one of those curves. But that's a reality. You have to be willing to do everything. You have to have an extremely thick skin. I mean, the comments I get on a daily basis,
I can imagine.
like, try to offend me. Try. Like, at this point, just try to offend me. Like, have a thick skin and just be ready to work constantly and be ready to be broke for 18 months. That's the summary.
That's the formula. Okay. Yeah, Alyssa, I know we've had a lot of personal conversations about kind of the frustrations or the not so glamorous aspect about being a content creator. And one thing I love about you is I feel like you're very transparent with your audience and like you keep it real and authentic. So tell us a little bit more about what are some of those tougher, not so glamorous parts of being a content creator?
I would say, I think a lot of people don't realize that a lot of us are doing things by ourselves. I shoot everything by myself. I don't have anyone else helping me right now. I pray for that to come. But that becomes very frustrating because you are the videographer, you're the editor, you're also the stylist, the makeup artist, everything. So when you are putting so much into your content and then you feel so good about it. And you keep watching it over and over like, yeah, this is gonna hit when I post it. You post that on Instagram? And it's like crickets. But it happens here and there. You just never know why. It could be the time that you're posting. It could be other factors that are also included in this. But you have to have a thick skin when it comes to this. And I went into this with a thick skin, but more and more as I'm growing my community even more and I'm getting more opportunities, there's certain metrics that I want to show brands. So when certain things don't perform well, it's like, I put so much effort into this. I know this is going to work. Why isn't it working? You know? So I try not to beat myself up about those things because at the end of the day, those brand deals are still coming. The brands are still loving my content, so that means a lot to me. But I also tell my audience, my community about, you know, the frustrations behind the scenes because they don't see what's happening back there, right? And for those who also want to do content creation, I want them to know this because there are a lot of content creators that may not talk about this, you know? So I think it's very important to not make people feel like it's just glamorous on the outside and we're not crying on the inside. Like, we're crying.
We are crying. But also, it's like when things take off, it's also life-changing. It's amazing. And we want to make sure we can hear you properly. So.
And just to add on to that, I mean, I do not have thick skin at all. Like, I get emotionally invested. Like, it's not funny. But, I mean, the thing about it is, like, you have to take breaks. So I know content creators that like focus on travel and they take trips where they don't take any content. I'm sure that that's hard. Like I have thrifting trips where like I don't take any content at all. Like I told myself, like I just got on TikTok in December, like that was my little practice. I posted dog videos, my personal videos, like I'm gonna get this down. But you have to take breaks. Like I told myself, if I stop having fun, I'm gonna log off, I'm gonna completely. So you have to find, and people be like, how do you take breaks? Like I take breaks. I've taken month-long breaks, two-month-long breaks, like whatever you need to do to get your mental right because people are crazy on the internet. Like they literally just say whatever they want. And like I said, like I get emotionally invested. I'm like, what is going on? So I think just like really taking time to get off the internet, enjoy the moment, and you know, that will really help you. So whenever you come back, you're better and you're able to not just be so emotionally invested.
Can I just add to that? I am very big on taking breaks. I take them all the time on social media. but social media is not set up for us to take breaks. You take breaks, your content starts to tank, you start to lose followers, it's a whole thing. But again, having that thick skin can help you remember who is for you is going to stay no matter what. Prioritize your mental health over everything else.
Yes, self-care queen. Okay. Do you have anything to add to that, Gabriella?
No, I was just thinking about how I'm like mentally taking notes during this conversation as well.
Same.
I would say you all covered it. Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
So
I have one thing.
please.
So what helped me, because that's true, if you take a break on social media, the algorithm punishes you. So what I do, because I feel like I can't take a break, is I just have rules. I only allow myself to go on Instagram one time a day, and that is to post something, and that is it. Yeah, like it may sound weird as a social media content creator, but at this point in where I'm at, like I don't really look at the comments because it's not worth my energy. And you know, a lot of the comments, most of the comments are positive, but it's just like the negative comments, like I don't need that in my life. And I just do one time a day on Instagram and one time a day on YouTube, and then I have my team checking the trends. That's what I do. But you don't necessarily need a team to check trends. There's something called Trend Talk. It's an app, and they tell you what the trends are. So
All apps.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna get to the.
Listen, I've been doing this for 7 years.
I'm like,
Oh, like the Trend Talk. That one's new though.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay.
new.
I've
Yeah,
never heard
but
of
it's
that
a good
one.
one.
That's a new one.
It
Right,
kind of
I'm
like does the work for you.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm loving this outsourcing. Absolutely.
You have to. You can't do everything
Yeah.
forever.
Absolutely. So I hope y'all realize how hard these people work to be where they are. It is not for the weak or the faint of heart. So I really want to talk through, on a more positive note, how you stay inspired. Like, I'm sure we've all heard of creator's block or writer's block, or when you're having that moment where you can't, you're stuck and you're like, how do I get inspired? Tell us a little bit more about how you stay inspired to create the content that you want to create. Alyssa, we can start off with you.
Great, because I just came out of this. Me getting out of creator's block, I like to listen to music, number one. That really helps me, and that helps me be inspired by what kind of reels I want to create. Like I want my audience to be jamming, not just jamming to what Instagram says is trending to use, because sometimes it doesn't always work. If I can't get out of the funk just by listening to music, I might hop on a plane. I have to travel, I have to see new things, I have to be inspired, I have to meet new people. I have this thing now where I go on one solo trip a year. I just took my third one 2 weeks ago. I went to Tulum, which is one of my favorite places, and I just let myself just like do whatever it is that I wanted to do. Meditate, yoga, I had to do some content. So I didn't really get to take a break, but that helps me just get out of that creative funk so that I can start creating again. Because what I start to realize is that when I'm focusing too much on performance on social media, I lose myself. And I always told myself, if this is something that I want to do full time in the future, it has to be something that I truly enjoy. I want to wake up, I want to do this. The moment it stops being fun, that is an issue for me. So just pulling myself back and just saying, hey, this is what you want to do, this is what you prayed for, get back to that, So I have to disconnect, and that's another reason why I take breaks. It's because, there's so many people wanting so many different things from you, which is a good problem to have, but if you don't prioritize your mental health, you don't prioritize your creativity, you can get lost into what everyone else is doing, So just coming off of social media, reading books, going to plays, going out with friends, you just never know where inspiration may find you. But yeah, for sure, just getting out there, traveling, and just like going by yourself.
I love that. Gabriella, I want you to talk a little bit about that as well. Like, how do you stay inspired? Especially, I think we were talking about this earlier, like you were saying you can't do food content when you're hungry.
Totally.
You have to make sure, like you have it all prepared and you feel ready. So tell us a little bit, how do you get inspired? How do you come up with your, egg trending?
Oh yes, definitely. I think I have a controversial opinion, which is kind of the opposite of what we were saying. I've actually found that I recently have been gaining a lot of inspiration by scrolling for fun in categories that are like completely opposite of the food world. Just because I watch so many food videos all day for work, or even just because that's what my algorithm serves me, that I am now on like makeup TikTok, I was on Coachella TikTok, I don't know, all these things. And actually seeing how these other creators do things and are working with the edits and the lighting and the music and the audio, like that kind of stuff gets me so excited. And then I'm thinking, oh wait, how could I try that with food? Or how could I make, you know, the next egg recipe with that thing? So I think for me, it's almost like taking off the lens of being the creator and just being a user. And then that kind of gets me excited to try new things in my own avenue.
I love that. And then I would love to transition and talk a little bit more about tips, advice, resources. I know we talked about content creation. We talked about a lot of things here. Y'all have a lot of huge experience. I think a lot of people here are probably sitting in their seats wondering, okay, but how do I actually do this? Or how do I actually transition into this? What are some of the different roles that you've seen within your own, you know, lines of work and that are related to content? You can talk a little bit about your personal, and what do you think is like the biggest thing that you've learned within that journey of seeing those earlier roles, since we have a lot of students here? So I guess, Mariah, if you could start off.
Yeah, I mean, I am a firm believer in cold pitching. Like, staying consistent in someone's inbox goes a long way. Obviously, be kind about it, you know, kindly following up or whatever. But like, if you're in someone's DM or you're in their inbox regularly, they pay attention to that. So I highly recommend it. Like, one of my biggest like things that came from that, like I used to watch Steve Harvey a lot, and I actually interned for him. I DM'd the executive producer. I saw the credits at the end. I DM'd him. I stayed in his assistant's inbox for like a year, and I interned for him twice. I met him. So it was just one of those things where, like, if you're regularly cold pitching someone, at Essence, literally, I cold pitched someone regularly, stayed in her inbox. She invited me for drinks. I got the internship. So, like, if you're in someone's inbox regularly, and also don't go for the people that have, you know, 500,000 followers. Look for, sometimes it'll be I'll see editors that like have 20 followers on Instagram, and I'm like, how? Like, just stay on people's radar. See if they have like a speaking engagement coming up. Like, if you can support them, that really goes a long way. So yeah, that's probably my biggest piece of advice, is just like reaching out to people that, a place you want to work, people that inspire you, just constantly be in their ear, because you just never know what can come about. And even if they don't have an opportunity available for you, they're going to keep you in mind. And even if something that I try to do, because I feel bad if someone's like in my inbox and they're like, let me know if there's a job opening at Vice, and I'm like, sis, I don't got nothing for you. But if you're intentional and you're just like, hey, like, I would love to have coffee, I'd love to just get advice, then in my head I'm like, oh, I can help this person. So be consistent, but also just let them know if there's one small thing that they can do for you. You just never know. Like, I have a mentee, we stay on phone calls, we do FaceTime. We've actually never even met in person. And like, she broke down and like cried. It was just like, Mariah, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. So you just never, like, I haven't been able to get her a job or anything, but it's just having that little piece and just having that someone that you can just share advice. And, you know, I'm trying to get her an internship, but just cold pitch and just see, you know, the places that you want to work at, or the creators that you love. Just try to cold pitch, because you never know what can happen.
I agree wholeheartedly. Like, I get a couple cold pitches, and the people who stand out for me are the people who are just honestly intentional and want to learn. Like, sometimes, you know, you'd be surprised, people reaching out like, hey, can I get a job at Dove or Unilever? And you're like, can we have a conversation? Can I know who you are? Can we have, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's critical advice. I want to hear, Sarah, from you. So you talked about, again, your team. Yeah. I'm sure you've had interns, assistants, etc. Tell me a little bit more about what stands out when you're working with somebody kind of early, or maybe when you first got people on your team. What stands out for you?
For hiring people?
Yeah.
So a big one is they have to have a good attitude. They have to be eager to learn, and they have to be able to learn. Okay, I'm much more willing to hire someone that like we get along really well, but maybe you're not like a 10 on the scale of like content creation. Maybe you're an 8. But if you can show me that you can learn and you're taking feedback, that is a huge thing, because it's like, you know how, we've all dated someone and you're like, wow, learned that I'm not into that. It's like one of those, right? So like you hire someone and you're like, this works. And then you're like, no, it doesn't. So it's like over the years, I've kind of learned like people that take feedback, people that are just fun to be around, and people that are detail oriented. I always look for people that fill my weaknesses. So I'm very bad at being detail oriented. Like every boss I ever had when I worked in the corporate world, when they came to that annual review, they're like, you need to work on your detail. And I'm like, yes, right, that's true. I'm also very bad at grammar and spelling. I don't know how I have an MBA, but I do. Can't figure out the theirs still. It's alarming. So when I hired my assistant, I was like, I need you to be good at, like, whoever is hired for this role has to be really good at grammar.
Right.
So essentially, it's like that, you need to look for someone that fills your weaknesses, but also someone that is eager to learn, that is, able to be in a lot of different situations. Yeah, that's pretty much the situation, at least what I've experienced.
Yeah, it's the little things, it seems. It's about the detail and all of that.
Because the thing is, like, a resume only goes so far, I
Right.
think.
Right.
I actually, when I hire, people submit resumes, but I don't really care about, this is probably isn't the right place for this, but like, I don't really care about where you went to school. Like, I just want to know if you can do the job well. Like, I want to know that you can film a bomb-ass video. Like, I want to know that you can come up with a cool idea. So I normally do trial periods before hiring them full-time. And that has worked really well for me.
Very helpful.
Yeah, like, just being like, I don't know, this is not good. I'm like, be good at what you do. Like,
Yeah, I mean, or have the willingness to want to work and try.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. I have one last question before a fire rapid question to everyone, because we're going to go into Q&A soon. I want to know from Alyssa and Gabriella, tell me more about actual tools and resources and like things you actually need to do your job as a content creator well. More practical.
For me, a good camera. I know everyone says use your iPhone. Yes, you can use your iPhone for so much, but I'm very big on visual and aesthetics and quality of imagery, so I use my Canon EOS M5. That has been my baby for 3-4 years now. I need to upgrade soon, but it's doing its job right now. What else do I use? Canva is also good for any kind of, any listicles that I need to create for social media. Spotify is actually my best friend. I make a lot of my playlists about like what reels I want to create, what sounds I want to use. I use Spotify for that. And that's about it. See, guys, I said pray for resources.
I love that, though. Helpful. Gabriella, what about you?
I would say on a resource side, I would love to plug, I follow this newsletter called Link in Bio by Rachel Carton, and it is an amazing resource for weekly social media trends or interviews with different social creators, and there's also even a job board, I think. So that's something that I think would be helpful for students and anybody trying to get in the industry. And then I would say as far as must-have tools, honestly, I shoot everything, even for work, on our iPhones, with even like a handy little social mic that you can charge and like keep in your bag in case you ever want to film something. Good lighting. Learn how to edit in Premiere, I would say, is really handy if you have resources to it, especially if, as a student, I think you can get great discounts, which is really awesome. That's the number one thing I look for when we're hiring like a new position, because people always need help editing. And I would just say also, like, use the free apps. Like now TikTok, I feel like, is prioritizing CapCut all the time, like all of the templates in there. So play around with things that become available for free, and those little videos can also really help in like big successes, and they're so easy to make.
Yeah. One more thing I can add is that more resource tool kind of thing. Find a group of content creator friends as well to lean on, because sometimes, like for me, I create a lot of my content based on what I'm already doing. Like it goes with what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. So I don't really batch content create, because I want to create content as I'm going to the grocery store, as I'm working out. I just kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So if I'm going out with a friend for brunch and I'm going out with someone who doesn't take good pictures, then I know. then I know that's not the day.
I know that feeling.
Then I know that's not the day to take pictures. But then I will schedule brunch or dinner with a friend who also wants pictures taken, so we'll take pictures of each other. So find your tribe.
I love that. I hope I'm one of the friends that take the pictures. I just need to know. I know I am that friend, but for the content creator, I need to know the truth.
Help me.
Thank you. Okay, so before we go into Q&A, thank you so much, ladies, so much. I hope everyone here is energized. I feel like I'm over here like I wish I was scribbling notes, so I might have to steal from some of y'all. Rapid fire. If there's people in the audience who are looking at you right now and thinking, I really want to do that. Maybe I'm sick of my job and I want to create content, or maybe I want to be in a job where I can create content, or maybe I want to have a business one day and I want to be able to scale this. Tell us and tell the audience, what is one piece of advice being a content creator? We'll start with you, Gabriella, and we'll go this way.
Oh man. My biggest piece of advice is to just do it. Stop making excuses. Make time in your schedule, have fun with it, let those numbers lead you, and keep creating.
Love.
My biggest piece of advice, both professionally creating and personally creating, is be intentional. I've started to post things and it sat in drafts because I'm like, what's the intent? Like, what was the reason? So knowing why you're posting something, like she was saying, having those goals that you want to meet, if there's no intent for it, don't do it. Be very clear of what you're trying to get from posting that content, and don't just post it just to say you did it.
And mine is, don't be afraid of failure. Know every successful person that has ever walked this earth has failed. My favorite quote is, the master fails more than the novice even tries. Just keep that in mind when you're...
Can you repeat that?
That's a bar, right? I'm like,
The master fails more than the novice even tries. You will fail, and that's normal, and that's good, and you need to understand what you learned from it and move on. Don't think about it for hours and days and weeks. Just be, okay, that didn't work. Why not? This is why. Okay, we're moving on. That's it. Don't be afraid of failure. You're going to fail, but you're also going to succeed.
I would say fail fast. Keep doing different things, learn from it, and remember that social media is your tool. You're not social media's tool.
That's a bar.
Good one too.
And the last piece of advice before we go into Q&A is never lose you. So my biggest thing, and part of the reason, when I'm creating content, I'm like, I need to feel it. I need to be me. And if it's not me, it's not getting posted and it's not going up. So anyone who's aspiring, never lose you, because you're the reason why people are following you, people are being influenced by you. Thank you so much for this incredible conversation. Can we get a little round of applause? Thank you. I think we're transitioning now into Q&A. So those who have questions, don't be shy now. We have a lot of expertise here. Feel free to make your way up to the mic, and please remember to announce your name, your school or organization, and keep your questions as succinct as possible. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. My name is Jennifer. I am a recent grad, I believe, because I got a year ago dual MBA. So my question is more like a Dear Abby question. It pertains to something that I would like your insight on. So a client of mine doesn't believe in impressions. How would you craft your social media strategy knowing this amidst like the changing algorithms? Also, it's not like the most like amazing. It's healthcare and they're trying to target millennials. So
I would tell your client that, okay, you don't believe in impressions, fine. Let's focus on creating very shareable content that impacts people, and look at, is it that they're not looking at any of the analytics at all?
No, I think it's more so along the lines of like every marketer's like worst nightmare. They're like, make me viral. But more like, I don't know why they hate impressions.
Oh, so they just want to see a lot of
They want
likes.
engagement.
They want engagement.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the worst.
Right.
Listen,
It's hard to
I know,
like.
they're the worst. They want engagement. Okay, well, this is always a challenge, right? This is always a challenge. I would say if they want engagement, then you have to look at it as this is a piece of content that you're going to be able to use for marketing campaigns for years to come. So how about instead of focusing on how many likes this got, we look at how we can repurpose this into different forms of content that can be used for various mediums. Like maybe we can put this on your website. Maybe we can, put some marketing spend behind this and boost it out to more people. That's what I would do in that situation. That's always a real challenge. Because they're really vanity metrics in the end.
Right.
Like just because you get, like for example, this is a perfect example of this. So I have a YouTube short that recently went viral. It has 7 million views, and like that sounds cool and all, but you know how much ad revenue you get from that in YouTube Shorts? $100. You know how much you would get if that was a real YouTube video? $30K.
Wow.
Okay? So, yeah, it looks good, but like, is it making the impact that we're trying to achieve here? Right. So, I think it's about like conveying the message in that way. Just because you're getting a lot of likes doesn't mean, or a little bit of likes, doesn't mean it's not converting, or the vice versa. Because I've had pieces of content that doesn't perform well, but I get a lot of sales from it because it hits the right audience. Mm-hmm. That's how I would do that.
Yeah, and the last thing, just to add on, as a marketer, because I do this all the time, there is not going to be a lift in engagement if you don't have a solid strategy. Yeah. So I think base level, understanding what is your strategy, what is your voice, what do you stand for? Also assessing the competition. If you're in the healthcare industry, what are other healthcare brands or companies doing? And what is your North Star? Maybe it's outside of the industry. Maybe you're like, oh, okay, I want to be as good as Chipotle on TikTok, right? You have to assess where you want to be in order to get there. So as a marketer, I would say solid strategy and assess the competition and identify your North Star.
And I'm going to put my marketing hat on too. For
Okay, great.
I would say also analyze what's working right now on their page and see what people are engaging with and make more of that, and also find ways to add value to that content, the new content that's going to be created. So, and whatever's working well, maybe put some pay behind it, because some of these spaces are pay to play.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like Instagram. Lately it's just so difficult to get reach there, and I assume that they're interested in Instagram.
This was supposed to be a client, and I denied it.
I
declined it.
Forget this.
Yeah,
I get it.
Just because knowing of explaining the industry, one thing, and also the lead time is only a month for the event, which is not enough time to build strategy and assess what we need. So
look at what works and try to work it from there. Okay. Thank you so much for your question. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Black Rob, and I am a recent grad from a school. Don't worry about it. They're not paying me to mention their name, so I'm not going to mention it. But that was fun saying it. How does the panel feel about new platforms when they come out? Do they jump on them right away? Do they keep an eye on them? Because right now I've done some research recently for a new app that just came out, and I've noticed that their focus is they have a lot of youth focus on a lot of fashion and outdoor and travel and things like that. So what's your take on that?
I would say that it's good to test and learn, because you just never know. I feel like a lot of people slept on TikTok. They thought it was just a dancing app, and now TikTok is just like where everybody wants to be, and a lot of people are now hopping onto it, and they feel like it's hard for them to go viral or create content on that app. So test different apps and see what works for the brand and works for you, and that's the only way you're gonna know.
I agree. I second that. So I actually was marketing for a brand on TikTok before TikTok was as big as it is now, so a couple years ago. And I remember when the people from TikTok came in to be like, hey, try this new platform, everybody was like, what is this? Like, we don't understand it. And I was the one person in the room who kind of understood it. I was like, let's just test it. And at the time, that brand was actually one of the first. We piloted. It was one of the first brands to ever market on TikTok, period. This is before any brands were on the platform. And now TikTok is what it is now. So I think having a test and learn mindset early on is really, really key. But I would say don't throw all your investment in that. Think about just ways to bite size, kind of test and learn, see what works, and know the platform. Because platforms evolve and change a lot over time, and what's trending now could be dead in a couple years or it could be viral. So Test and learn.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kendall Hurd, and I graduated with a BA in Communications. Sorry. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. At Casanova College. And my question is it hard to branch out from your niche and the content that you started with and that you're known for? And is it rare for your supporters to follow you through whatever content you created in the now?
Both of them are like,
Who
all
wants to
right,
start?
let's go.
Right.
I like to say I don't have a niche. I am the niche. That's why I focus more on lifestyle. I don't want to be put into a box. I like beauty. I like fashion. I like lifestyle. I like wellness. I'm multifaceted, and I don't want an app to tell me just to stick to one thing. So I find a way to blend it all together. I focus more on holistic way of living, and that's what I focus on my app. So on my platforms. But it can be very challenging because sometimes you may go viral for an outfit reel, and then you get all these people who want to see outfits, and then next day you're posting eggs and working out, and they're like, what is this? So you have to make sure that as you're building out your content calendar that there's one of everything on there. So what I like to do is if I'm posting fashion today, I'm posting my workout tomorrow. I'm posting my home and lifestyle tomorrow, the next day. So when you come on my page from a viral moment and you take a glance at what I'm posting, you know you're getting all of this.
I started with a very specific niche. It was New York City content, and to be honest with you, it has been very difficult transitioning out of that niche. Like I feel like I'm at a point now where I want to do things outside of New York City. So it's about finding like the sister niches that allow you to go to the place you want to go, right? So I recently had a baby and I wanted to do more lifestyle content. So I'm still making the New York content that performs well because I don't want to lose the original audience. But I do this like 2 for them, 1 for me thing now. So I'll do the content that I know that the people want to see and what they came for, but then I'll be like, but also this, but also this. And you just have to keep doing it. Keep doing that strategy until it works. And we recently have started to have that work really well with like travel guides outside of New York City. When I first tried this, it was a bit too early on in the brand, and now it's working. I think it's about committing to the concept and keep doing it, even if it feels like it's not working. It took me 6 months of posting a YouTube video every Thursday before my YouTube channel even blew up. So, like, don't expect results immediately. Just commit to a strategy and keep doing it. And if you feel stuck in a niche, that's the only way to get out from what I've experienced firsthand. Keep doing some of the niche, but do a little bit of this also. That's how you do it.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's it? Okay.
You need to make sure.
Oh, hi, I'm Julia. I graduated from the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism. Yeah. And now I'm the social media and reader engagement editor for a nonprofit news startup in Georgia. My question is actually for Mariah, specifically, fellow Newmark alum. So it's very impressive that you were able to grow the Vice TikTok following. It was 120K in 60 days. My organization's going to start getting on TikTok, so I'm curious as to what your strategy was to build that audience.
So I downloaded TikTok last December, and I have an account for my dog, and my dog Leo, and my personal account, and I only was practicing. I was using it. I was in meetings planning for a Vice TV TikTok launch. I had no idea what I was doing, but I had to pretend like I did. And then when I launched it, I tried to be, like I mentioned earlier, having intention. I tried to find some of the best clips, see what was working. And think about Vice, we have a ton of shows. So I was seeing what shows would perform better than others, and I just remained consistent. But I will say the one thing that I did do that people told me that I shouldn't have, I only posted 1 a day. And everyone was even I would be in meetings with other people at Vice, so you have to post 2 to 3 times a day. And I'm I don't have 2 to 3 times a day energy. But I was very intentional about what I posted, making sure that I got cross-brand support and things like that. So, it really does take a commitment, a strategy. I also made sure that I had a pool of content available so that once I launched it, because the reality is posting 2 to 3, I would have been you know, I wouldn't have had any left. And I will say, like, I'm even looking back and being like, like, did I make some mistakes? Like, I was posting 4-minute clips and they were doing really, really good. I'm like, are these too long? But they were doing really well. So you sort of have to just like experiment. And then another thing too is like give yourself time. I was going to answer that for the question. I forget who asked the question earlier, but about their client. But you want to give yourself time. Like, do not promise, you know, to get the best results in a month or whatever. Give yourself however much time you're going to need to get those results. The brand is new. Finding, you know, learning like what that voice is like. You want to give yourself time to just play around a little bit. So yeah, I would just have a little strategy going, seeing how you can repurpose content, like whatever you're shooting, how can you use it? Can you do roundups? Like that can be its own day in the life. You can do roundup, top, you know, whatever. So that's probably the best advice I would give is like find ways to repurpose the content. That's probably it. And just have a strategy, have a plan, and just try things. You know, one of the things that I do is like if there's a trend or something that I want to do, I just do it. And you know, if it goes viral, it's great. But if not, you know, I saw that it didn't work. So yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
Of course. Sorry, I know that was like a long-winded answer.
No, that was great. Very, very awesome.
How's it going, everyone? Good evening. Thank you for this, like everything you guys are doing, like so much positive advice and information. My name is Carl McIntyre. I'm from Queens College, graduated with a media studies. I'm a videographer and editor as well, so I know the struggle, like editing all the time, it's tough. But my question is, do you guys have like a strategy, and this is like both for the ones that have the 9-to-5 working, you know, for a company and for your own brand, do you have like a strategy when looking to build partnerships or like seek out these type of partnerships, for your brand?
You mean like sponsorships?
Yeah, like sponsorships or like collaborations, for seasons, etc. Yeah.
Yes, definitely, because that helps fund your creativity, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing I would recommend anyone do is get on the influencer platforms. That's where brands first look for sponsorships. There's a bunch: Aspire IQ, you have Activate, 4Card, FOHR, not four like the number. There's tons of them now, like so many that it's kind of like, whoa. You know, I think you know, influencer marketing kind of blew up and all of these people started agencies. So get on all of those influencer platforms. If you just look them up on Google, like you'll find a whole list, and fill out all your profiles, and then you'll see all the opportunities that the different brands are looking for. And so what I do is, like, based on the content I want to create, I look to see if any of the brands that are actively looking to pay influencers line with that. And if I also like that brand, you know, that's also important, because you don't want to just agree to promote anything. Now, like, a lot of the time when you need money, you will. You will. But I think I've learned the hard way that you can't just take anything, because if you're promoting something and one of your followers tries it and they hate it, they're never going to trust anything you say again. Yeah. So just be really careful with that part. But that's like the best way, I would say. I mean, you guys all have worked with sponsors too.
I would say start with the brands you're already posting and talking about now, because that's more authentic to you and your audience. If you just, you know, start partnering with a brand that you've never talked about, it's going to be harder for you to connect with them and your audience as well. And those platforms are great as well. They have amazing partnerships, but for sure, like, look at what you're already using, tag the brands, message them, see if there's any opportunities. Sometimes you may have to accept gifting and not get paid. Do your best out of that. At the end of the day, just remember that you're being a resource to your community as well. So just build that authenticity there first.
And the last thing I would say is, as someone who's on the other side that's often looking to make the partnerships and the relationships, definitely make sure like your portfolio, your content is super tight. Those influencer platforms, as she mentioned, super, super key. Because a lot of times we're working with a middleman. We're working with agencies sometimes that give us a list, and then I am the one that goes through. And within about 30 seconds to a minute, I can determine whether or not we're going to partner with you. So make sure that everywhere where you're driving people to your work, make sure that that's super tight, it's very consistent, and just be you in all the content, because it's easy to tell when you're on the other side and want to partner with someone.
Another one that's good is Aspire IQ. Sorry. That
And
one has
Pop Pays is a good one too.
Which one?
Pop Pays.
Oh, I'm not on that
Yeah,
one.
I used
There's
to
a
use them.
lot.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you repeat pot?
Pop Pays. Not Pop Pays. That would be hilarious though, as a good little marketing campaign. But no, thank you.
Oh,
Thank you,
and
thank
Clever. Sorry. Okay, I'm done now. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Thank you guys so much. I'm so inspired. My name is Imani, and I'm the Center for Communications Social Media and Marketing Fellow. And we are live on Instagram and Facebook. So we have a question from Latifa NYC on Instagram, and she wants to know, what resources do you use to decide on and set your rates?
Wonderful question.
Oh, sorry. I feel like I'm
So-
answering everything. I'm sorry. I'm really quiet.
I
have
can
an
say
answer. Yeah,
I
you go.
leaned
Yeah.
in the beginning. I leaned on friends who already were doing this, and I asked them, okay, when I'm at 22K, not my rate yet, but I'm at 22K followers. But at every level that I hit, I asked a friend, okay, when you're at 10K, how much did you charge? When you're at 15K, how much? And I use that. I now do have a manager that helps me, so she looks at the market rate to see like how much I should get paid. But also think about everything that goes into the content creation. Like if that was someone that you had to pay, how much would you pay this person to do XYZ for you, and put that into your rate, or else you're gonna feel like you're not getting what you deserve in your content.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Hello, I'm back again. Since you already know who I am, I'm not going to say who I am again. How do you feel about the whole data and privacy issue that's going on with social media right now? Supposedly people are taking people's information and things like that from other places, and also in the United States. I know not a question you were looking for, but I'm sorry I had to ask it.
I mean, it's not ideal. Yeah, it's not ideal. The thing is, I always try to put like, it's like you try to not put too much information out there, but a lot of the time when you sign up for these platforms, you have to give them certain information to even get access. So it's just a difficult situation, and hopefully they make the laws like a bit more better so that there's not all this data leaking going on all the time. But unfortunately, we're at kind of like the mercy of it, because in order to do this on social media, you have to be on social media.
And I think it's more of even just like a technology issue. Like I think people like to just focus it on social, but like
it's also
you see banks,
email.
you see, exactly. So I mean, I think the focus is on social and just talking about privacy, even though it's a little bit unrelated. I mean, definitely be, and I just want to say it, but definitely be very careful about what you put online. That's something that I try to do, like not posting in real time and things like that. Like I try to, like even my name in Uber is not my name. Like I don't want someone knowing. So just being really careful about just what you have available online. I know I've seen TikToks about people, they don't put their apartment number whenever they're doing Uber Eats, just like things about just, you know, access. So I mean, like I said, I just think it's more of a technology issue and not so much social. But social's in that realm.
Thank you.
I know that was like a weird answer to your question.
No, that's the right answer because it's true.
Yeah.
Good evening, all, and thanks for coming. And now I am Annie, and I graduated from Miami Ad School's strategic planning bootcamp a year and a half ago. And now I'm working as a influencer strategist at an influencer media agency. And I have a question here is that since I need to collaborate with a lot of influencers day to day, and I can deeply feel all of their daily struggles when it comes to content creation. So I personally would like to know that what keeps all of yours going when you face the challenges in your day-to-day life. I mean, I can totally understand that it's how hard it could be. So I'm personally curious about that. Thank you.
I mean, I'll jump in. I feel like one thing that keeps me going is working with great people. I feel really lucky to be on a team for my 9 to 5, and I think having people around you who really inspire you creatively and who you can learn from, and also like be able to teach things too and have that nice exchange is really helpful. So I feel like you have a really like delightful disposition. I'm sure the influencers love like working with you, and so you get to be that for them when they're going through difficult times, hopefully.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would also just say outsourcing some of the tasks that you need to do as an influencer really helps alleviate like the pressure of it. And then, you know, it's hard to not get emotionally invested in the content, but like don't get too upset if it doesn't perform well. That's like something I think we all still deal with, is just like, don't look at the numbers too much if it doesn't perform well. Just be like, okay, you know, like it was good. Or how can I learn? Back to the failure thing, you know?
Yeah, thank you.
I would say remember your why. Like keep your eyes focused on why you did this, and look at your community, right? They're rooting for you as well. That keeps me going.
Much appreciated. That's so true.
Great
Yeah,
question.
I mean, I think just like knowing your impact too, like it's really nice. Like I mentioned, people can be mean on the internet, but like it's really nice whenever people are like, oh, you taught me how to thrift, or like, you know, those little moments to where it just makes you feel empowered. So yeah, definitely remembering your why, being intentional, and just knowing like, you know, your work could have an impact. And at the end of the day, you're living the dream. We may have our issues, we may have our, you know, our problems, but like, you know, we worked hard to get here. I know at least for myself. So just remembering that like it could definitely be much worse, and tomorrow's a new day. You have a new post ready for you. So just, you know, staying intentional, staying on track.
Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you.
Hi. Excuse me. My name is Maya. I'm a student at Columbia University. My question is kind of related to the earlier one about changing niches, but more geared towards defining your own niche, and kind of figuring out what that is. A little bit of context. So like I create my own content mostly on TikTok, and I've gotten like a little bit of attention there, but it's always felt very trend chasing. And I made like a couple of kind of weekend vlogs, but they haven't performed as well as like if I just stand in front of a camera for 15 seconds in my room. And I'm like, I found that I have a lot of interests that I don't really know which direction to go in. I'm interested in alternative fashion and makeup and music, but I don't really have like the budget to consistently make content there. And I'm also like a visual artist, and I just started streaming on Twitch. So I feel like very scattered, and I've just been really struggling to kind of figure out where I should put my energy.
Yeah, it's always a challenge choosing your niche. I would say like, I have a course on like essentially doing this, and what I always tell my students is like, list out your passions and list out your strengths and see what aligns well, and then choose that as your niche to start and really hone in on that. So whatever you are better at than most people on your strengths list and it lines up with your passions, then go from there. And I know sometimes it's hard because, you know, we have so many passions, but if you just focus on just one to start, or see what the data has shown you, like what's performing well, start making more content like that. And once you get, I would say, if you can reach like, I don't know, 30 to 50K with that topic, then I say, okay, try inching into the next niche, but don't abandon the first one. It's very much a strategy, and it's like very like balancing the algorithm, what the algorithm wants and what you want.
Yeah.
So I hope that helps.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Thank you.
And if I could just add one more thing, because Alyssa and I have had really good conversations about that, even for her content. I've done it for brands. I think a lot of times, again, because we're so multifaceted, I'm sure you're super multifaceted, you don't just have one interest. It's really hard to branch out, and then you do something different, and you're like, oh, this is performing, and maybe the algorithm or the platform is telling you what your niche is. I think it's important to sit with yourself and align, like to Sarah's point, what am I passionate about? What am I good at? But also, what do you want to actually talk about? And make your pillars. Maybe one of them is beauty. Maybe one of them is alt fashion. Maybe one of them is skin or whatever else you're into. And develop those pillars. Think about, okay, what's the cadence? How much am I going to post about each topic? And almost create your own little strategy and content calendar, if you will, and then see what works and stick to what you actually want to create.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, guys.
Hi, my name is Isaiah. I currently do content on YouTube and Instagram. And I just have a question. How important is networking and meeting other creators? And how can you be new to the game of content and get attention of high value influencers?
Networking is very important. Like I mentioned before, like finding your tribe, you learn so much from them. You can learn from their mistakes as well. You never know who might be there to help you. I wouldn't say try to get visibility from high value influencers, because I feel like you just might be chasing being seen by them and forgetting about how much value you have to offer. So like really focus on yourself and build your network as much as possible.
I think finding events are really helpful too. Like if there are any either networking events or like brand events that you might get invited to, or any ways that you can just mingle in a very natural setting, talking about maybe like completely unrelated things and then working your way into the content creation. Because I think sometimes creators in real life can get standoffish or put up guards because they don't know like what people's intentions are right away. And I think if you form just an everyday relationship and then get into the work talk almost, I think it feels more genuine, and then you can use that relationship to continue having bigger conversations later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, just to tap off of that, like definitely events, but also challenge yourself to go to an event by yourself. Like that's something I've been trying to do more recently, is like, because when you're with someone else, you feel natural, you feel comfortable, you're going to hang out with them all night. But when you're by yourself, you really feel committed to just meeting other people. So definitely, and you're in New York City, like there are so many events. So definitely, trying out different events, follow, even this group here, like Center for Communication, like follow them on Instagram, follow different organizations and see, what little networking events they have. And a lot of things may be informal. It doesn't have to be a sit down. Like I've had really great chats with people over a happy hour or a mixer. So yeah, definitely just see what's online, see what events are out there.
Yeah, and as far as collaborations with other influencers, that is definitely beneficial to growing your social media presence, but you kind of have to do it in line with where you're at too. Otherwise, it just may not like really work. So, let's say you're at 1,000 subscribers, like try to collab with someone else at your level, and you can help each other grow. And then as you grow, you can reach out to like other creators at that same level, because that's going to be the most likely successful collab. And because the thing is, like, if you reach out to a creator that's, like 500,000, they're going to wonder exactly like, what are your intentions? Like you're just trying to be seen in my video. But if you could provide some benefit to them, like I've had people that have reached out and they offer like free editing services, or like free, like just like to like learn from me. That is something that is more enticing, because it feels like you just want to learn versus like you just want someone to like put you in their social media presence, I guess is kind of like what I'm saying here. Because that's kind of like how I started doing collabs. It was like I would look at people at the same level, and then networking is super beneficial. Like definitely that is like the key here though. Networking is key, but that's how I would recommend doing collaborations.
Yeah, and just make sure you're organic and everything is seen, because the people that you see online sometimes are really not those people in person. And that's a very real thing. So making sure you build those relationships organically, that will take you so far. You have no idea if you just maintain, think about, even if you take off the title of content creator, would you talk to this person normally in a room full of people, and how that conversation would go? I would say organic networking is everything.
Yeah.
I was literally going to say the same thing. I actually met one of my favorite TikTokers. He's here tonight. I won't put him on the spot. But I met him and I was like fangirling out, and we're good friends today. So you just literally never know. Remember that the people behind these platforms, it doesn't matter how many followers they have, they're people at the end of the day. They want to be poured into. They want to, you know, have that genuine connection. So if you're just yourself, you literally, like, I wouldn't even pull out my phone and be like, follow me. They're just like, I'm going to follow you. I'm like, okay, I'll follow back. So you just never know, like, what will come from you just being yourself and just having a good time. You know, it's not all about how many followers they have. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone, can we get another round of applause for this amazing panel? Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ladies. Just some housekeeping. Thank you so much for this panel. Thank you, everyone who attended. You are taking the right first step by being here. And I really want to shout out the Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment. I want to shout out St. Francis College Center for Career Exploration and Communication Arts Department, as well as the Center for Communications, who are the lovely, lovely hosts of this event. At this point, we're going to ask everyone to exit the auditorium. If you'd like to connect with some of the attendees, again, remember, we got to get our mics off. So if you want to connect, we can talk in that area outside. But thank you so much for being here. And the pleasure was all ours.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.